Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lee&Low Books Fall 2024 Showcase. I am Ronny Khuri, Books for Youth, Senior Editor at Booklist. My pronouns are he and him, and I am a light-skinned Arab man in dark glasses and a blue t-shirt, sitting in front of some packed bookshelves. Before we begin, I will go over some technical details. Thanks to our friends at Lee&Low Books, we are thrilled to be able to offer ASL interpretation during today's webinar. And today's interpreter, Travis, will be visible throughout the program. Additionally, Booklist offers closed captioning, so to enable or disable captions on your screen, please look for and click the live transcript icon on the toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom screen. From there, you can select Show or Hide Captions from the menu that appears. If you choose to enable subtitles, you can adjust the size of the captions at any time by selecting Subtitle Settings. Links to today's slide presentation and title list were included in a reminder email that you received from Zoom 1 hour ago. To download them, please open that email, scroll to the bottom, and click on the links located there. You can also download the slides and title list by copying the URLs on this screen into your web browser. And I can read that out real quick. For the title list, it is bit.ly/Lee&Low Fall 24 Showcase _titles. For the slides, it's bit.ly/Lee&Low Fall 24 Showcase _slides. If you have any trouble, just contact us at webinars@booklistonline.com. If you're in the audience, you are in listen-only mode, but we do welcome any questions you may have. So on that toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom is a section for Q&A. If you have a question, if you need technical assistance, simply click Q&A and type your message into the box that pops up. We will do our best to respond to all tech-related questions, and we can pass along all other questions to today's panelists, and they will be able to follow up with you after the webinar. Finally, Booklist expects all participants to maintain a respectful atmosphere. Anyone who violates this standard of behavior may, at the discretion of the organizers, be immediately removed. But we have a wonderful event planned for today. We're going to kick things off with a Lee&Low book buzz, after which I will be talking one-on-one with some of our special guests. So without further ado, I will pass things off to the Lee&Low team. Take it away.
Thank you, Ronny. Welcome, everyone, to Lee&Low's Fall 2024 Seasonal Showcase. We are excited to share what's new in picture books, young adult novels from the largest independent multicultural children's publisher in the U.S. Our books are about everyone and for everyone. My name is Jenny Choi, Marketing Director at this family-owned and minority-owned business. My pronouns are she, her. I'm an East Asian Native Hawaiian woman with tan skin and shoulder-length straight black hair. I'm wearing a black sweater with long ni'ihau shell earrings. There's a shelf of beautiful Lee&Low books behind me in my background. Speaking alongside me today are my excellent colleagues, Jen, Shaughnessy, Sasha, and Elise. They'll each introduce themselves as we move through our presentation. We're also thrilled to be joined today by beloved authors, Olivia Abtahi and Isabel Quintero. Olivia and Isabel will be in conversation with Booklist Ronny Khuri, as he noted just now. Following our book buzz, you'll get the scoop on Olivia's latest YA novel, Twin Flames, and reflect on a decade of Isabel's GABI, A Girl in Pieces. Head over to Edelweiss to browse our latest catalogs and digital review copies. Follow at Lee&Low on your favorite social media platforms, now including TikTok, Threads, and Blue Sky. Bookmark leeandlow.com, where you can find free resources to use with our books in any setting that you work with young readers, classroom, or a library. And make sure to check out the results of the third iteration of our diversity baseline survey. This data set measures the demographics of the publishing workforce, and it's really key to understanding the issues of representation in children's books and books in general. Before we dive into the title presentation, I want to shout out our Bebop Books imprint. This exclusive sole source line supports literacy instruction for emergent readers. There's a rich selection of fiction and nonfiction offerings available in English and Spanish. The books feature simple sentence patterns, familiar words and concepts, and captivating illustrations and photographs. Contact quotes at leeandlow.com to learn more details. And now I'll turn it over to Shaughnessy to kick us off with what's new in picture books.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shaughnessy Miller. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the assistant marketing manager here at Lee&Low Books. I'm a white woman with blue eyes and long wavy brown hair, and I'm wearing a tan-colored sweater and sitting in my office in front of a brick wall and glass doors. Our first picture book is Mercedes Sosa, Voice of the People, and the simultaneous Spanish hardcover edition, Mercedes Sosa, La Voz del Pueblo, which is written and illustrated by Aisha Perez Prado. This beautiful biography of Argentinian folk singer and activist Mercedes Sosa will make your corazón soar like the song she performed. Affectionately known as both the voice of the voiceless and La Negra, Mercedes used her musical talents and powerful voice to speak out against poverty and inequality in her home country. Readers will learn of Mercedes's personal journey from humble beginnings to global singing sensation, as well as Argentine history of how economic and political instability led to the rise of a dictatorship and state-sponsored terrorism. Mercedes stood up to injustice through her songs about inequality. The story emphasizes the importance of allowing music and art to freely criticize a government and inspire social change. And afterward, with photos, dives deeper into Mercedes' life and career. Author-illustrator Aisha Perez Prado did extensive research about Mercedes and even had the opportunity to interview her brother and nephew about many of the different parts of Mercedes' story. Aisha grew up in Buenos Aires, Argentina. She is an educator of linguistic and cultural studies whose academic work and children's books promote diversity, peace, and social activism. Of the book, Aisha says it shows how all people, regardless of wealth, gender, ethnicity, or other circumstances, have the right to live in freedom and peace with hope for a better future. All voices are equally valuable and should be heard. Mercedes will sing her way into your hearts on September 17th, just in time for Latina and Hispanic Heritage Month.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Kwam. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the marketing coordinator here at Lee&Low Books. I am a light-skinned Arab American woman with long wavy brown hair. I am wearing a tan short-sleeved sweater, glasses, and gold hoop earrings. And my background is a couch and a bookcase filled with books. I'm excited to present New Voices Award winner Maham Hwaja's picture book debut, The Home We Make, illustrated by the acclaimed Debbie Zainab Faidi. The Home We Make is a moving story told from the perspective of a young refugee girl as she and her family are forced to flee their beloved home after violence erupts all around them. Emotive illustrations by Faidi balance the family's love for one another and hope for the future with the harrowing journey to escape on foot, travel by boat, and then finally resettle in a safe place. Through it all, the young girl tries to hold on to all the pieces of her life before and find a way to rebuild a sense of home. The Home We Make is a timely and tender look at the ongoing refugee crisis and how it affects the children forced to endure these tragic circumstances. It serves as a valuable resource for parents, educators, and librarians looking to educate children about the plight of asylum seekers and foster empathy and understanding, positioning home as not a physical space, but something that is tied to memories, traditions, and the people we love. When asked about her authorial debut, Maham said, I knew I wanted to tell a hopeful story. In the refugee crisis the world is currently facing and has been facing, there have been many helpers, countless kind-hearted souls who brought a bit of respite to the difficult journeys refugees have been forced to take. I wanted to show a realistic best case scenario, a scenario in which, yes, a family has to uproot and leave their homeland, but also a scenario in which they are treated with kindness and welcomed by others, and a scenario in which they are able to rebuild and begin to heal. The Home We Make releases on October 8th.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sasha Chadwick. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the publicist here at Lee&Low Books. I am an olive-skinned Black woman with a dark curly afro. I am wearing glasses and a Black dress shirt. I am sitting in front of several amazing Lee&Low books. I'm happy to share our new in Spanish title, Semillas de Cambio, Seeds of Change, written by Jen Cullerton Johnson and illustrated by Sonia Lynn Sadler. Seeds of Change received a Coretta Scott King John Steptoe Award for New Talent in Illustration, as well as a starred Kirkus review. Semillas de Cambio tells the true story of Wangari Maathai, the first Kenyan woman and the first environmentalist to win a Nobel Peace Prize. As a young girl, Wangari was taught to love and respect nature. Although most Kenyan girls were not educated at the time, Wangari was allowed to go to school and her love for science flourished. While her studies brought her to the United States, she ultimately returned home where she witnessed the government selling much of her people's land to foreign companies for commercial use and the dramatic changes that brought to the lush green landscape of her childhood. In response, she established the Green Belt movement, advocated for the rights of her countrywomen, and fought to preserve the land, one tree at a time. Beautifully written, coupled with vibrant images, Semillas de Cambio shows the importance of protecting our environment, including the negative results of depleted natural resources and how each person can make a difference.
Hello, Shaughnessy here again to share our picture books coming to paperback this fall. First up is Our Celebración by Susan Middleton Elia, illustrated by Ana Aranda. In this fun read aloud, we take in the sights and sounds of a parade, the band, the floats, the food, and the fireworks. As we enjoy the Celebración, author Susan Middleton Elia masterfully blends Spanish and English to create an engaging rhyming story. With whimsical illustrations, Our Celebración is the perfect way to enjoy a summer day and learn some Spanish too. This Junior Library Guild selection received starred reviews from Booklist and Kirkus. Kirkus says it is a splendor for the senses, even as it promotes togetherness and teaches a second language, a great addition to any library. We're excited to bring 7 Golden Rings by Newbery Honor winner Rajani Laraka, illustrated by Archana Srinivasan, to paperback. The story takes place in ancient India, where a young boy is traveling to the Raja's city in the hopes of winning a place in his court as a singer and securing his family's fortune. He carries everything his family owns, a single coin and a chain of 7 golden rings to pay for his lodging. But when the innkeeper demands 1 ring per night and every link snipped costs 1 coin, how can he both break the chain and avoid overpaying? His inventive solution points the way to an unexpected triumph and offers readers a friendly lesson in binary numbers, the root of all computing. 7 Golden Rings won the Mathical Book Prize and received starred reviews from Booklist and Publishers Weekly. It's a great way to introduce cultural diversity into STEM, STEAM, and coding units. His story not only teaches children about different forms of mathematical thinking, it also offers a warm example of multiple models of success for social emotional learning. 10 Oni Drummers by Matthew Golub and illustrated by Kazuko G. Stone is a delightful read aloud that's part counting exercise and part bedtime story. A young boy falls asleep on the beach, and he is soon joined by a mysterious Oni, or a demon from Japanese folklore, who crawls out of the sand. As more Oni join in the merriment, young readers will eagerly turn the page to discover what the Oni are up to next and learn the next number in the sequence. These friendly Oni stand guard and protect the boy from any spooky dreams. They joyfully play their taiko drums until they sink back into the sand as day breaks. Children will feel reassured knowing that the Oni are here to protect them. The fun, kid-friendly text is a great introduction to Japanese culture and folklore, as well as the Japanese words and characters from 1 to 10. And next up is Piecing Earth and Sky Together, a creation story from the Mien tribe of Laos, adapted by Nancy Rains Day and illustrated by Jenna Panzarella. In the beginning, a helper from heaven named Pham Ko came down to make the sky. His sister Pham To came down to make the earth. So begins the delightful story of a competitive pair of siblings who use the distinctive embroidery of the Mien people to create the earth and sky. The two work in secret because they each want to make their part of the world more beautiful. When the sky is too small, the siblings must work together to find a solution. Thus, the clouds, mountains, rivers, gorges, and valleys are formed. This myth teaches young readers the importance of teamwork and persistence when collaborating with others. Strong Back Matter offers more about traditional Mien embroidery and the inspiration for the story. Add all of these new picture books to your shelf on November 19th.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elise McMullen-Chatti. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the senior editor at 2 Books, the middle grade young adult imprint of Lee&Low Books. I'm a middle-aged, light-skinned Indigenous woman with dark brown hair and turquoise eyes, and I'm wearing a fuchsia sweater and navy blazer, and I'm sitting at my Lee&Low desk, surrounded by books and paperwork. I'm excited to share with you 2 middle grade books we have coming out this fall. First up is A Two-Placed Heart, a middle grade memoir in verse by Don Fung Nguyen, the author of Meombea. There's just something inherently approachable about books in verse for middle grade and young adult readers, and this one is no different. A Two-Placed Heart is a true love letter to sisterhood and the places we leave behind. In the summer of 1996, 12-year-old Bom is afraid her sister, and maybe even herself, could lose sight of their Vietnamese identity. So Bom writes one poem at a time so that they will never forget. Don Fung crafts a lyrical and heartfelt story for poetry lovers. Her love for Vietnam and her Vietnamese culture shines through the pages, and she centers the narrative around the aftermath of the Vietnam War and its effects on Vietnamese immigrants. The book also highlights the struggle many immigrant kids face when starting at a new school and not speaking the same language as everyone else, as well as the internal struggle when someone begins to lose their native language. The literary beauty of the story is rooted in Don Fung's love for her family, especially growing up with her younger sister. Playful, loving, and sometimes a bit annoying, sisterhood isn't always easy. A Two-Placed Heart shows its readers that the love for one's sister and the culture that connects them can be both complex and beautiful. Also for middle grade readers is the latest installment to our Indigenous graphic novel series, Tales of the Feather Serpent, written by David Bowles and illustrated by his daughter, Charlene Bowles. In The Hero Twins and the Magic of Song, 2 demigod twins are destined to rescue their father and uncle from the land of the dead, but it won't be easy. They'll have to use some trickster magic to survive their cruel half-brothers. As an Indigenous person myself, I can say that the hero twins and the magic of song is exactly what I expect from an Indigenous tale. Sometimes our tales are a little spooky, many are full of action and adventure, sometimes people are awesome, and sometimes they're not so awesome. And these stories always surprise you. It's never what you expect will happen, and you learn a little along the way. Each book in the Tales of the Feathered Serpent series features a standalone adaptation to one of several pre-Columbian Mesoamerican tales that were first combined into David Bowles's YA story collection, Feathered Serpent, Dark Heart of Sky. Now, with the Tales of the Feathered Serpent, David has brought these amazing stories to younger readers. The first book in the series, Rise of the Halfling King, received a starred review from Kirkus and was included in their best middle grade graphic novels of 2020 list. Sharing Indigenous stories is important, and bringing these sacred Mayan and Aztec tales to new readers is also important. And doing them with graphic novels is not only fun for readers, it has a deeper history. David Bowles said, "When I consider the highly visual way Mesoamericans recorded their stories, the closest modern equivalent that comes to mind is the graphic novel. Blending written words and images, comics and other sorts of graphics allow our brains to process stories more like our ancestors did, using multiple parts of our brains to understand more fully." The Hero Twins and the Magic of Song will also release in Spanish in spring 2025, and more tales of the Feathered Serpent are slated for release in the future seasons.
It's Jenny again. In this section, we highlight our new in Spanish for middle grade and YA readers, like the first books in our empowering nonfiction The Story of Chapter Book series. La Historia de la Estrella de Cine, Anna May Wong, spotlights the actor and her trailblazing Hollywood career. You may recognize Anna May's name and face because she recently became the first Asian American to be featured on the US quarter. The book also touches on the history of Chinatowns in the US, the movie-making process of the 1920s, whitewashing in film, as well as some kid-friendly acting exercises. La Historia Héroe de los Derechos Civiles, John Lewis, honors the life and legacy of one of the big six civil rights leaders. It's a great introduction to Lewis's life for readers who are a little too young for the March graphic novel trilogy. Throughout the compelling personal narrative, there is an emphasis on the power of working together peacefully toward a common goal. The book also informs readers about subjects like sharecropping, the March on Washington, and Lewis's work in Congress. Each book in this fresh collection of chapter book biographies focused on historical figures of color includes black and white illustrations, informative sidebars, highlighted vocabulary words, a timeline glossary, and recommended reading. Now I'll pass the mic to Elise for our new in Spanish for fiction novels.
Thanks, Jenny. First up is a smart young middle grade mystery about a diamond gone missing from the Louvre and the sweet and spunky Mexican-American 9-year-old who cracks the case. Get ready for Julieta y el Enigma del Diamante, or Julieta and the Diamond Enigma by Luisana Duarte Armendariz. This middle grade novel was a New Visions Award winner, and it's perfect for teachers and librarians who are looking for diverse read-alikes for the Magic Treehouse series or Chasing Vermeer, and the evergreen classic from the mixed up files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankenweiler. Full of history and art, introduced in a way that younger readers will find fun and engaging, it also offers a fascinating look at how art moves from museum to museum internationally. We loved working with the author to bring this book into the version of Spanish that honors the book's Mexican-American roots. Luisana did the translation herself, the perfect person to bring Julieta's spunky voice to Spanish readers. Oh, and keep an eye out. There may be more adventures for Julieta and her family coming to readers in future seasons. And now something for our YA Spanish readers. Treinta me habla de amor, or 30 Talks Weird Love by Alessandra Narvaez Varela. This powerful YA novel in verse features a smart 13-year-old Mexican girl, Ana Maria, who is visited by her 30-year-old future self. a future self that's trying to convince her she needs to be kinder to herself, no matter what's happening with her grades, the distress in her hometown, or the expectations from her parents. Readers have consistently raved about 30 Talks Weird Love and its thoughtful handling of depression and how important it is to prioritize mental health and well-being above achievement. Alessandra was very excited to bring a Spanish version to American readers. After Spanish versions have made successful tours through Spain, Mexico, and Argentina, with translations that authentically spoke to those Spanish speakers, this Spanish version has finally made its way home, reflecting where the story takes place in Juarez, Mexico. El Paso, sister city. Border towns are special liminal spaces. More people cross the binational border daily between El Paso and Juarez than any other border in the world, and its lingo is now fully reflected in this version. Lee&Low takes special care in its translations so that we continue fulfilling our mission to create books about everyone for everyone. Back to you, Jenny.
Jenny here again. Let's continue with more YA, starting with the action-packed fantasy Twin Flames. Twins Bianca and Layla could not be more different from each other. Being biracial, Argentinian and Iranian in their small majority white town has always been hard. But with Layla shunning her heritage and Bianca embracing it, the two walk disparate paths and barely talk anymore. But on their 18th birthday, their neighbor's barn mysteriously burns down. When Layla encounters a djinn rising from the fire, she suddenly gains strange powers. What do these djinn want with Layla, or the other people in the town for that matter? The siblings will have to reconcile to find out and save the day. Twin Flames is the book author Olivia Abtahi wished she had when she was growing up. One that features, quote, kick-ass female leads with secret powers that are still rooted in daily struggles of identity and ability. She says she often finds inspiration from her family in her writing, saying the countries they're from don't exist anymore. The only way they could pass their knowledge down was through oral history, and has been the bedrock of my own voice and style. I love the way Twin Flames upends some typical tropes we see as readers. It's refreshing to have these twins that don't have the stereotypical joined at the mind connection. Bianca and Layla have to learn to like each other again after a long estrangement. Also, in many stories, jinn exists to fulfill wishes of mortals, or at least to perform some kind of benefit for them. This story explores a more sinister side of the jinn tales from folklore. Definitely hand this one to fans of The Cruel Prince or This Poison Heart. And hot tip for you lucky folks tuning in live, keep an eye out on YA Book Central tomorrow to enter for a chance to win an Arc of Twin Flames.
Jen here again. I'm back to talk to you about the exciting paperback release of Drift by M.K. Hutchins. A Junior Library Guild selection, this captivating YA fantasy inspired by Mayan and Indian folklore was crafted to be consumed by readers. It follows Tenjat, who lives on the shores of Hell, an ocean filled with ravenous Naga monsters. His island, a massive turtle, is slowed by the people living on its back. As a battle with the Naga monsters approaches, Tenjat learns of a long-hidden family secret, putting his future plans in jeopardy and threatening the survival of his island. Drift's setting will plunge readers into a world rooted in indigenous folklore. The idea and belief of a turtle that holds civilization is one that is shared by many Native communities across North America. Readers will also be prompted to think about the book's parallels to real-world concerns about Earth's climate change. Kirkus Reviews called it totally fresh, and School Library Journal praised it for its clear and well-developed world building. Grab the paperback edition on August 20th.
Hi, Sasha again, and I'm excited to share that Rebellion, written by renowned author Karen Sandler, is coming to paperback. Rebellion is the third and final installment to the Tankborn series, a thought-provoking science fiction world that examines the ethics of genetic engineering, the definition of a human being, and the struggle of equality in an unequal world. Spoiler alert, following the shocking cliffhanger ending of Awakening, our protagonist, Kayla, a genetically engineered non-human, and her lover, Devak, both survive a devastating bomb blast, but are told that the other is dead. Devok is safe in a medical facility, but his choices have left his family disgraced, while Kayla is taken hostage and forced to join the terrorist group that planted the bomb. Luckily, knowing something is afoot, Kayla pretends to accept this new role while secretly plotting her escape. At the same time, Devok is slowly piecing the puzzle together. Will Kayla and Devok manage to find one another, or will they always present threats from society force them apart? Jam-packed with twists and turns and nearly impossible obstacles, Rebellion rushes to a thrilling conclusion. Kirkus Reviews praised Handler for tackling caste systems, slavery, and terrorism head-on, saying this series is a strong addition to the sci-fi genre. For lovers of the Match series, or if you love dystopian novels with complex narratives and a bit of romance along the way, the Tankborn series is for you. Complete your paperback collection on August 13th.
Hi, it's Shaughnessy again to introduce another exciting new to paperback title. Trail of the Dead by Joe Bruchac is the sequel to the American Indian Youth Literature Award-winning Killer of Enemies. In the first book, 17-year-old Apache hunter Lozin and her family lived in a world augmented by technology and genetic enhancements. When a near apocalypse leaves them with pre-20th century technology, Lozin becomes a monster hunter for 4 tyrants who are holding her family hostage. In Trail of the Dead, Lozin and her family are looking for a place of refuge from those same monsters. Relying on her wits and her growing powers that warn her when enemies are near, Lozin fights internal sickness to lead her band of refugees to freedom and safety. The character of Lozin is loosely based on a historical figure of the same name, who used her mystical power to find enemies as she fought beside her brother Victorio during the long Apache resistance against Mexico and the United States. Readers who love playing Horizon Zero Dawn will find a lot to love in this similar story of a protagonist fighting monsters in a machine-dominant world. The series addresses 2 important themes that Native Americans have experienced for more than 5 centuries: removal and displacement. Lozin's story highlights the resilience of Indigenous characters and spotlights them in a sci-fi futuristic story, noting that Indigenous people have always been here and will always be here. The books are also available as audiobooks from RB Media. Be sure to pick up this exciting Indigenous sci-fi in paperback on August 6th.
It's been 10 years since William C. Morris, YA debut award-winning author Isabel Quintero introduced us to Gabi Hernandez. Gabi, A Girl in Pieces, garnered 3-star reviews and a multitude of awards, including 16 state reading lists. Readers are hooked from page 1 by Gabi's witty voice as she chronicles her senior year of high school. Her mom is stricter than ever, her dad is still hooked on drugs, and her best friends are going through it. Thankfully, she has poetry, hot Cheetos, and her diary to help navigate her through everything. Gabi, A Girl in Pieces continues to resonate with young people today because it realistically depicts the myriad of struggles teenagers face: body image issues, drug addiction, sexual assault, homophobia, and just the overall combination of any expression of sexuality, and the ways we are told we belong or not as part of American society, especially as people of color, and specifically in Gabi's case, as a Mexican American. It's for these reasons and so many others that Gabi, A Girl in Pieces needs to be readily accessible across all communities. If you are advocating for Gabi in the face of censorship where you live or work, we hope you report it with ALA or PEN America. There is a book resume for Gabi readily available on Unite Against Book Ban's Book Resume Hub. The URL is bookresumes.uniteagainstbookbans.org. The resumes detail any book's significance and educational value, and is easy to share with administrators, elected officials, and board members. We are incredibly grateful to everyone out there defending our freedom to read. We see y'all, we support y'all. We hope you're taking good care of yourselves too. And on that, that wraps up our title presentation of this webinar. I'll hand over the reins to Ronny for our conversation with my colleague Elise, as well as our authors, Olivia Abtahi and Isabel Quintero. Y'all are in for a real treat.
Thank you so much, Jenny and Team Lee&Low. That was a fabulous lineup. As was just said, I will also invite back editor Elise McMullen-Chotti, the senior editor of 2 Books, which is the middle grade and young adult imprint, back onto the screen. And we
Hi,
will
Ronnie.
hello. We're going to take a few minutes to talk about the New Visions writing contest, which you probably heard referenced in that lineup as well. So, Elise, can you, for those who don't know, just give us an intro. Tell us about New Visions.
Yes, our New Visions Award writing contest. And well, it's a contest. It's a contest for authors of color and Indigenous authors who are just getting their start as writers, who have like completed a full manuscript and have not published something traditionally. We began the contest because we wanted to open up this to those who don't always have the opportunity to share their work with a publishing house. And we wanted to also open it up to Indigenous authors and authors of color and really focus on that and give voice to that. The New Visions Award contest is for middle grade and young adult novels and graphic novels. It's not for picture books. Yeah, it is a great contest. It's, if you haven't heard about it, I definitely would go to our website and check it out. And we especially hope that people read up on it because it's pretty amazing.
It is. It's obviously a really good opportunity for aspiring authors. But why is it also something that librarians and library workers should be paying attention to?
This is a very good question. I'm so glad you asked that. Well, first of all, librarians really know about books. They know about the quality of a middle grade novel or YA novel. And I think that if they were to actually see that a book had won the New Visions Award, that they would know that they are dealing with something with real voice and real literary quality. And also something of a new voice that they can kind of pay attention to. And I also know, because I've met many of them, that librarians themselves are also most often the time have a little bit of writing going on the side. And they might also have a book that they would like to really push forward and see what they can do with their writing career. So we also welcome all those librarians who are quietly authors there in the background who would be interested in this contest if they're authors of color or Indigenous authors. So yeah, if you want to kickstart your publishing career too, you know what's good already.
And I'll be speaking with a past winner in just a little bit here. Are there any other winners that folks may recognize?
That's right. You have Olivia Abtahi, who was our New Visions Award winner, but also Shamile Syed Mendez and Axio, Tracy Alchemy Crowder, Louisiana Duarte Armendariz, who I mentioned earlier with Julieta. They were all winners of the New Visions Award and have jump-started their career from here. Yeah, we've got a nice list going on.
Yeah, an impressive lineup for a relatively young award. And part of the promise from Lee&Low is for the winner is mentorship, right, with the manuscript and with the author. So can you talk a little bit about kind of that experience and what you want to give to those writers?
Absolutely. I have to give a little shout out to Stacy Whitman, who really thought about this award initially. She didn't want to just give the opportunity to Indigenous authors and authors of color to kind of get a foot in the door, but she also wanted to offer mentorship. She has a real passion for mentorship, and Lee&Low also, when we think about these new authors coming in, we actually are really committing to that person to bring them up and to nurture their writing. And we spend a good deal of time with these authors working on their manuscripts and more than what a seasoned author may already know what to do. You send it in, and then you receive some notes and all that. We really do a lot of workshopping together, and I've developed some lovely relationships with authors along the way in this. And a little shout out to Tracy Acme Crowder. Whenever we've texted each other, we're still quoting Monty from her book, because it becomes very personal for us. So there, yeah, it's very, very important for us. Very, very important.
Yeah, that's so, like, money and or a contract is one thing, but mentorship is so valuable. This is the real deal. Okay, so just to close, I guess, if somebody is interested in applying or just learning more or reading about past winners, where can they go?
Yes, well, you can go to our website, leeandlow.com. That's where you're going to find all the information. And the contest opens on April 1st. So get in there and submit. I also even if you don't feel like it's perfect, submit it. Just make sure you finished it. It's got to be finished. But submit it, because sometimes along the way we come across manuscripts who might not quite be ready for us or right then, but that have the potential of being something later on. And we do let those authors know that, to give them a little bit of encouragement as they go. And we've actually published some of those eventually. And India No More would be one of those, which has become one of our most successful books. So I definitely encourage you all. Don't be too hard on yourselves. Just finish it and submit it April 1st.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Again, April 1st. If you're listening live and you have questions about it, you can use the Q&A box to send a question, and we'll make sure Elise sees that. And yeah, thank you so much, Elise.
Thank you, Ronnie.
I will invite our first author guest, Olivia Abtahi, to join, and while that's happening, I will read a little bio. Born to an Iranian father and an Argentine mother, Olivia is a melting pot of distinct cultures. Growing up in the DC area, she always had a passion for cinema and storytelling. She's a graduate of NYU Film School and VCU Brand Center. Her debut novel, Perfectly Parveen, was published in 2021, receiving the SCBWI Golden Kite Honor, the YALSA Odyssey Honor, and numerous starred reviews. So welcome to Olivia, and we are, of course, here to talk about her new fantasy novel, Twin Flames, which won the New Visions Writing Contest back in 2017, and it is due to be released this August. So there it is, and it's got the little stamp on it. I like that. Twin Flames, tell us, we heard a little bit about it before, but tell us what it's about.
Yeah, first off, hi everyone. My name is Olivia Abtahi. My pronouns are she, her. I have brown hair with bangs. I am wearing a brown sweater, and I am, like Ronnie mentioned, Iranian Argentinian. So that means I'm half white Latina and then half Southwest Asian North African. So with light olive skin tone, with lipstick and eyeliner today. For folks who don't know, Twin Flames follows the story of Layla and Bianca Mazanderani as they try to make it in their small Virginia town. As Iranians and Argentinians, like me, they are feeling a little isolated. While Bianca embraces her heritage, Layla rejects it. And when their neighbor's barn mysteriously catches on fire, they realize that a djinn has been at the heart of this, a djinn who was promised basically them. So they're trying to get to the bottom of this mystery, why this promise was made, and through it all, Layla gets mysterious powers. So these two twins who have nothing in common, who have always been at odds, must join together to save their small town.
Awesome. And since we're kind of fresh off the topic, before we delve into the details, can you speak just a bit about the contest and the experience of winning it and receiving that mentorship?
Absolutely. This contest changed my life. I was working full-time as a filmmaker. I had queried this book to so many agents. The agent I'm currently with rejected this book because it wasn't ready yet. But like Elise said, I decided, you know what, it might not be perfect, but I'm going to submit it to the New Visions Award anyway. I submitted it, I printed out my book, and I put it away, and I told myself, that's it. I tried being an author, it didn't work out. I love filmmaking, I'm going to do that. And I just closed the door on that chapter of my life. So I was floored when Stacy Whitman called me and said, hey, Olivia, you've won. And that has really launched my career as an author. This is my third book that's coming out. I have 3 more scheduled to publish after this. And without Stacy Whitman believing in me, there's no way I would be here talking to you all. So the New Visions Award contest was just, it's just incredible. It's absolutely made my life different. And I first heard about it because I read Axie O's book, Rebel Soul. And I loved that book with mecha bots and so much sci-fi in a Seoul, Korea set, hundreds of years in the future. And I saw that little medallion on the cover of that book, and I thought to myself, wow, this is so interesting. And so that's how I found out about it. So if you are debating whether you should submit, please do. It is an incredible opportunity. And I thank my stars every day that Stacy Whitman, pushed me forward. And I'm so grateful to Lee&Low, 2 Books, and the New Visions Awards.
And so, I mean, most of our audience, I would imagine, know you for contemporary realism, for Perfectly Parveen and that kind of thing. So, I mean, the 2 things I kind of want to touch on here are the fantasy and the mythology, and then the characters and the family of your story. But is fantasy is that where you come from, or was this did this come before, kind of in the chronology of your writing? Or what drew you to writing fantasy, I guess, is another way to put it.
Yeah, so Twin Flames is actually the first manuscript I ever wrote. It was a NaNoWriMo entry in 2014. So it's been literally 10 years of working on this manuscript. So I started with fantasy, and then Perfectly Parveen and All Are on Fire are YA contemporary. And what's so funny is that that's what I'm known for. But yeah, I absolutely love fantasy and sci-fi. I was that 10-year-old up to her eyeballs in Dune, like at school, with the teacher being like, should you be reading this? Shade's Children by Garth Nix, House of Scorpion by Nancy Farmer. I just ate up anything that could potentially have a flux capacitor in it. Like, I was there. Tamara Pierce, like any whiff of like fantasy or sci-fi. That is what I love. Even right now, I'm reading the Temeraire series, like the Napoleonic Wars with dragons, right? And so everyone's always so surprised that like I'm actually such a dork. And so fantasy has always been my true love. I'm lucky enough to have another fantasy series coming out later. That's middle grade. And yeah, at the end of the day though, I really just like to tell my story, and then whatever genre or age category it happens to fall into, great, but that's always secondary for my process.
Yeah, I was right there with you with all of those fantasy loves. I feel like, I don't know, I think there must be a better term for this, but like Middle Eastern fantasy or Middle Eastern mythology is kind of having a moment, or it's on the rise. I'm seeing like
Yes.
books and golems and jinn, and they're popping up everywhere. So I wondered, as far as inspiration or research in that kind of niche specifically, did you have any favorite sources or inspirations or mentor texts or that kind of thing?
Yeah, first of all, Habibi, thank you for mentioning that, because we are having a moment. Mentor text, The Ginny and the Golem, love that book. I forget the author. And then Shannon Chakraborty, or S.A. Chakraborty's works, Kingdom of Copper, the whole series has been amazing. So many other Southwest Asian, North African writers or Swana writers have definitely had an influence on me, but even just contemporary ones like Adib Khorram with Darius the Great is Not Okay, Abdi Nazemian with like a love story. Just seeing other folks from the same part of the world as I'm from has been wonderful. And unfortunately for me, a big inspiration for this book was when my father was raised Muslim, but coming to the United States, we didn't really follow a lot of Muslim practices. And so unfortunately, I had some close family members pass away. And that was kind of my first entree into like a fully Islamic ceremony, with the wailing and singing, the certain types of mourning, the graves facing Mecca, like the burial processes. And that's when a lot of the spirituality like really came forward for me personally. So I had all of these books in the back of, my brain just kind of simmering on the stove. And then these, unfortunate personal events were really kind of like the spark that gave me the courage to explore this further.
Yeah. Um, let's shift to talking about family then, because that really is the core of the story, despite all the action and the beautiful fantasy trappings. Um, I mean, I'm a child of immigrants, and I know about the rejection of the culture growing up, and then and also the kind of coming around to it. And it was cool to be able to see that in this kind of dichotomy of twin sisters. So I just wanted to ask kind of where the idea to approach this through twin sisters came from.
Yeah, uh, this has been mentioned before, but I have read a lot of books about twins who are like best friends. They can read each other's minds. And I wanted to tell a story of twins who are at opposite ends. Um, and here you have twins with the same identity, but who are exploring it in different ways. Well, same cultural identity. And they are kind of, one is Layla, who is rejecting her identity and she doesn't want to make people feel uncomfortable. And the other is Bianca, who is embracing her identity and is kind of like, this is who I am. And she puts it front and center. Whereas her parents, they're the people who came over, and I'm sure you understand as well. These are the folks who kind of have to put their head down, get the work done. They don't want to be flashy. They want to assimilate. They want to do right. It's like the good immigrant myth. And so you have this, first generation of the children who are born in this country who are trying to figure out what that means for them. So their family comes at it all from different angles. Their mother is Argentinian, their father is Iranian, and then between the two of them, you kind of have a wide spectrum of what that means for each sister.
And I'm so sorry, we only have a couple minutes left. This is a flash interview. Again, this is epic scale fantasy, a lot of action. But one thing that was so striking to me was that you gave the space to have these kind of quiet moments with the whole family, not just the sisters. Um, and so I just wanted to ask why that was an important feature for you.
I think when your parents come from a country that you are not from, there are truth bombs dropped on you daily. And I wanted to show what that was like and to have scenes at the dinner table where the parents are explaining, hey, this is how the world works for us. This is how the world works for you. Pass the ketchup. I'm hungry. Um, and I needed those quiet moments because there's so much action, there's so much adventure, like you said, that I really just wanted to have breathers for all of these things to sit and process and absorb. And I think that once again, when you have so many identities and so many cultures, I think readers need a breather too.
Perfect. Thank you. Again, sorry this has to be such a short conversation, but everybody, Twin Flames, August 27th, I believe. There's a lot more to dig into, so definitely check it out. And Olivia, thank you. I'm excited for your fantasy career now beginning.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thanks, everyone.
All right, take care. And I will now bring on Isabel Quintero, our last conversation. Isabel is an award-winning writer from the Inland Empire of Southern California. She is also the daughter of Mexican immigrants. In addition to GABI, A Girl in Pieces, she has also written a chapter book series for younger readers called Ugly Cat and Pablo, a nonfiction YA graphic biography called Photographic, The Life of Graciela Iturbide, which received the Boston Globe Horn Book Award, as well as a picture book, My Poppy Has a Motorcycle. And I will add that I think yesterday, correct me if I'm wrong, your new picture book came out called Mama's Panza. It's really amazing, so I definitely want to make sure that's on the map. Congrats on that and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Isabel Quintero, and I am a light-skinned Chicana. I've got rounded indigenous features. I have long, copper-colored hair with short bangs. I've got eyeliner and lipstick, and my background is blurred out.
And of course, we're here to talk about GABI, A Girl in Pieces. So for those who may not be familiar, could you just give us a brief intro to the story?
Yes, so my book baby turns 10 this year, and GABI, A Girl in Pieces, chronicles the senior year of Gabby Hernandez. She is a light-skinned Chicana fat girl, much like myself. Her dad is addicted to meth. He struggles with addiction, and her mom has really strict ideas of what it means to be a woman. And Gabby tries to find her voice through poetry. And that's ultimately how she's able to figure out or start the journey on figuring out who she is.
And so, yeah, again, it's been 10 years, which is a long time ago to kind of recall a book, but I think this book has been a pretty steady part of your life since it came out. I guess I'll conflate a couple of my questions, but I wanted to get a picture of how you felt and how you viewed the book back 10 years ago when you even before it first hit the shelves, and that kind of evolution to how you view the book today.
Yeah, so when I first wrote the book, and I've said this like multiple times, like when I first wrote the book, I really thought, I was really excited that I was getting a book published because that's what I had been working towards. But I thought, my parents are going to buy a copy and my friends are going to buy a copy. And I will have said, I published a book, I got a book published, and I will continue my career. I was trying to be a college professor, teaching rhetoric. And I thought, this is it, right? Like, this is what it's going to be. I was very surprised at the reception of the book, happily surprised. I would not have imagined 10 years ago that 10 years later, I was going to still be talking about the book, and it was still going to be used in the classroom and in classrooms across the country as it's still used. I didn't think it was still going to be banned, and that my intentions were still going to be questioned by people who didn't understand that I was just trying to write a story about kids like me, about kids who grew up in homes where parents have struggled with addiction, where they struggle with self-image, where they struggle with what it means to be a woman for me in Mexican culture. And that's one thing that, I would have thought that 10 years later, we would have I don't know what I imagined us as like a society to just agree and say, hey, young women have rights and they should be treated with respect and they should be able to have, be autonomous with their bodies. But that's not where we're at today. So that's somewhat disappointing. But I'm happy that young people still connect with it, and that older people, adults still connect with it as well.
Yeah, and I'm just giving a second because I think my internet maybe is hiccuping a bit. Are you still with me, Isabel? Yeah, there you are. So you mentioned book bans, which
yes, folks are frozen. Yep.
Okay, I think you're back. I'll give another moment just to let it catch
Okay.
up. But on the topic of book bans, Jenny is a book resume through United Book and the new data that has come out. And I'm going to walk hopefully closer to my router to see if that helps while I talk.
Okay.
Ronnie, could you repeat what you just said?
Yep. Let me see if it's a little better here, and forgive my messy apartment. All right. So on the topic of book bans, clearly still a huge issue and a growing issue. But and GABI has been sort of in that mix for 10 years now. So I wanted to ask, and you've already touched on it, but can you speak to the value of this story today? Because it's almost more relevant in a lot of ways now today.
Yeah, when I was a young person in my home, we couldn't ask questions about sex. The most I got, and it's literally like what's in the book, the opening page, like ojos abiertos, piernas cerradas, eyes open, legs closed. That was about as much birds and bees talks I got, and also sex is bad, and that was it. That was it. And there was a lot of questions and a lot of um, feelings of shame that I had when it came to like, oh, well, I have like sexual feelings. Like I'm a young person going through puberty, um, not only like dealing with issues of sexuality and gender, but things that I just couldn't talk about. And the same thing with addiction. Like in my house, we didn't talk about drugs. While my dad had been struggling with addiction for my entire life, we did not address the issue in our home. It just didn't exist. We didn't have money. My dad disappeared for days. Well, we didn't talk about it. And so I think that young people are still, we talk about fentanyl now, like this huge rise in overdoses of people dying from fentanyl use, from, we have the opiate crisis a few years back, still have it. And we are still struggling with these issues that we just refuse to talk about. And so I think that young people reading a book like GABI, A Girl in Pieces, can find that they're not alone, right? That these questions, even though their parents don't answer them or address them, that they even exist, that they can see that, hey, other people have gone through this like I have. This isn't something I should feel ashamed about. I shouldn't feel ashamed about wanting to kiss a boy or wanting to kiss a girl or wanting to kiss someone who's non-binary or we should not feel any of those things. Yet we continue to ignore young people and act as if they are somehow these super innocent creatures that cannot, that should not be tainted with reality when they're in reality every day. And the more that we um, shelter them from issues that affect them directly. And the more that we silence them, I feel we've seen this over and over in the news with young people dying, being attacked because they're trans, being attacked because they're people of color, being attract, being bullied. And so it makes me sad that it makes me sad that a book like GABI is still relevant in this way. I wish we would have moved forward, but I'm also glad that young people can find space, for their emotions in a book like GABI.
For sure. Sorry again about my connection issues. I hope
That's all
I'm
right.
you now. We are about out of time, but I'll give you one more question.
Sure.
You've been you've been among the readers and the young readers throughout this period. Are there any stories about them coming to you, how the book has influenced them directly, that have resonated with you or that stand out with you from over the years?
Oh yeah, I have emails and I changed my website, so my email system I need to fix it, but I've had emails over the years and young people telling me like this is the first book I see myself in. In person. Anytime I've talked about GABI afterwards, I'll usually have like one or two girls. I have one vivid memory of this, but I'll have like a girl come up to me and say, I've been through that situation, or I've been through this situation, or my mom is like this, or my tia is like this, or my dad struggled not with addiction, but with alcoholism, you know. But I remember being in Oakland and a couple of girls came up to me and asked me about, and this is spoiler, if you haven't read the book in 10 years, I'm sorry about it. But they find out that Gabby's friend Cindy has been raped, and it was date rape. And they came up to me and asked me if that was real. And we talked about it, and they shared with me that that had happened to one of them. And so those moments have been really powerful because I've gotten comments from adults telling me that that date rape scene, or not even a scene, but that element of the book isn't real. Like those things don't happen to teenagers. And so to hear back from a young person that says, no, this happened to me, was really, really sad. It made me angry, but also reminded me of like why I do this work, why I write for young people.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
I can vouch that this book, although it's 10 years old, is as relevant as ever, as powerful. It reads so beautifully still. So
Thank you.
if you haven't checked it out, definitely make sure it's on your shelves. Make sure it's available to young readers because it's a great thing. And Isabel, I'll have to thank you and start to wrap things up here.
Oh, thank you.
Take care. Again, that's Gabi, A Girl in Pieces. All right. As I wrap up, another big thank you to the whole Lee&Low team, Jennifer, Jennifer, Shaughnessy, Sasha, Jenny, Travis, and Sia. Thank you all for a fantastic showcase. Tomorrow, all attendees will receive an email containing links to today's video recording, title list, slide presentation, and a certificate of completion. For more about Booklist webinars, be sure to visit booklistonline.com/webinars, where you can view archives of past webinars and register for upcoming ones like those you see here. Heading to PLA in Columbus, then you can stop by the Booklist booth, number 1317. We will have free copies of our magazines, including our guide to graphic novels. We'll have book giveaways, tote bags, buttons, and a reader recommendation wheel. Plus, don't forget to attend our book buzz on Thursday, April 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern, featuring your favorite adult publishers buzzing about upcoming hits. Staff training, in-services, local conference. Booklist can help. You can now request free copies of Booklist and Booklist Reader for upcoming staff training programs so you can help the next generation of library workers become readers advisory and collection development superstars. Scan the QR code on the screen or visit our website or email info@booklistonline.com for more details. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. One more huge thank you to our special guests, to the Lee&Low marketing team, and our sponsor, Lee&Low Books. This concludes today's webinar. Thanks.